Hello, job seekers. Melanie Woods here with CGL Recruiting, and I am so excited for our special guest today. Let me go ahead and bring her into the studio now so you get a chance to meet the one and only Erin Urban. Oh my goodness, Erin, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure those of you that follow me on LinkedIn also follow Erin Urban. If you don't, go do it now. She is a wealth of information for your job search and for your career. So thank you, Erin, for taking the time to be on with me today.
I'm so thrilled to be here, Melanie. It's a big pleasure.
So you have this amazing background. Can you tell anybody, for those that are not as familiar with you, about who you are and how you got onto this path that you're on?
Well, that is a long story, so I'll try to keep it short because my career has been very evolutionary. I've actually pivoted my career 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Successfully, too. So it wasn't like, oh, gee, what do I do? Irregardless, what I do is I'm an executive career accelerator coach, and I help driven professional people, leaders, emerging leaders, that sort of thing, elevate their career. I help them remove career roadblocks so they can achieve more impact, influence, and income. And do that through a variety of different ways. It's one-on-one coaching, group workshops, and of course, speaking and presenting virtually, and maybe someday again in person. We'll see how that goes. But what I love to do most importantly is make sure that we are leveraging people's passion to fuel a wonderful career action plan so they can unlock their potential and elevate their presence as a professional, because it's so important for your success. I'm also the host of the Career Coffee Chat live show and podcast, which is live every Tuesday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. And of course, the podcast is on all the major channels. You can find out more about me at coachurban.com down here if you want to know more about me and what I do.
And one of the reasons that we're having you on today, the big reason, is for those of you that did not see it, Coach Urban just launched a book. And let me share that. Oh, there, she's got it right there. Elevate Your Career. Good job, Erin. So here too is, so you can see, the book is It's Time to Elevate Your Career. More influence, more impact, more income. And you can get this on Amazon. And I want to definitely make sure I take a moment to say congratulations, because Erin, you actually are in 5 categories, hit the Amazon top, which is incredible, amazing. And it shows that the data in that book and the impact it's had from the people that have read it, they keep referring it on. So huge congratulations to you on the success in your career. It's very exciting.
Thank you. It was a crazy day. If anybody knows anybody who's ever published a book or has launched a book themselves, so they know kind of like, you're like, oh my gosh, you go through the whole launch. But I did live launch. It was super fun, by the way. I was live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all that. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, done. And so my mother actually texted me. I was like, okay, I have to unplug for a little while. So I actually wasn't looking at the stats hour by hour. I have a wonderful publicist, and he was handling that, thank God. Because, newbie, first book, I didn't know I should look at it every hour. But he was keeping track, oh, it's #1 in this country, it's #1 in that country. He was sending me screenshots. My mother texted me about 6:30 that night. She's like, how's the book doing? Well, I was like, well, I haven't looked. And so I went online. I was like, oh, I'm #1 in 5 categories. I fell out of my chair. And she was like, yay, she called me. She said, I'm so proud of you.
Aww. Well, listen, I don't want to give away all your secrets from your book, but what is one of the primary things in your book that you share on elevating your career that you'd like to share with the job seekers watching today?
Well, what might come as a surprise is this. The success in your career is not necessarily defined by your credentials, your education, how many years of experience you have, and how hard you work, how much a perfectionist you are, how wonderfully you exceed expectations every time you turn around. That's not necessarily what defines success in your career. Actually, it's a combination of your technical expertise and your presence, how you show up to other people. Because here's the crazy fact. While we drive our credibility in the workspace, we do not determine it. Other people do. Yeah, and that was a super hard lesson for me to learn as in my earlier career. as a young professional, I had to learn that the hard way. In fact, one of the best things, and I'm serious, Melanie, the best thing that ever happened to me was a bad performance review.
Tell us why.
So I walked in one fine spring morning, much like this morning, and I was expecting the usual, atta girl, pat on the back, you've done a good job, and no raise as usual. But not familiar. But so what I did here was, you're wonderful in all the work that you do. You excel with clients. You've exceeded expectations this year. However, we have some concerns. And that's not the words you want to hear. And turns out that while I was really good with my clients and I was, exceeded, expectations with my project work and the things, as a matter of fact, I had become the firefighter. Anybody who relate to that, coming in, I'm saving the day. And I would save the day so much they actually started pinning me for difficult projects. Not where you want to be. But irregardless, even though I was doing all those things, I was not doing such a great job at bringing that persona into the workplace with my peer group, the people I worked with. And it wasn't that I was a mean person. It was just a very driven person, right? Very focused, very metrics, very what next, I don't have time for idle chit chat kind of person. And the and the suggestion by the well-meaning HR manager that was in the performance review said, well, maybe you should take your coffee cup around in the morning and get to know people. And I'm ashamed to admit that I did tell her that, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to do my work or chit chat? Yeah. So for anybody who can relate to this, what I would recommend considering is that your success is not necessarily defined by how awesome a job you do. And what's interesting too, and also as an entrepreneur, you hear a lot about true grit, when you have to work hard, it's work hard, play hard ethic, and we have, particularly in America. And what it does is it drives a set of self-sabotaging behaviors. And it's interesting because at that time I was doing what I thought I should do to get ahead in my career. Work really hard, stay late on Fridays, come in on the weekends, take on all the tough projects, show that I was, good stuff. And what's interesting is the skills and the focus that gets you to a certain point in your career may not get you any further. So what gets you here may not get you there, in other words. And I was beating my head against the glass ceiling so hard my head was hurting. I was like, why am I not going into leadership? I don't understand. Well, leadership is about people skills. That's why. So your people power, how you show up around other people, that's what truly matters. And I'm not saying that, we should just forget, our credentials or forget all those other things. It's a balance. Right. It's not one thing or the other. It's both in tandem that then fuels that successful career story for you, right?
And for job seekers, it's such a focus in the beginning on the data that's on the resume. Do you have this degree? Do you have, this many years experience? And then it shifts to all of those competencies to land you the job. And so if you think that if I just get another degree, I'm going to get this job. If I just get this other skill, I'm going to get a job, and you ignore that competency piece, oh my goodness, it's never going to work. It's a balance, like you said.
All right. All the excellent credentials, skills, and expertise, and those contributions that you should have in your resume get you to a certain point in the job search process. And you can see that kind of like the evolution of the job search process, kind of like the evolution of your career growth process. Very, very similar. It gets you to a certain point, but then beyond that, it really does matter on your relationship. Are you making a connection? How are you showing up? Because at the interview stage, it's typically won by people who make that connection with other people. They show up, they have a presence, they're what they're excited about really shines through. And that's what matters. And when it comes to leadership, what's interesting is I when I'm talking to my clients about, they're moving into leadership or they want to further their leadership. And, they're like, well, how would I do this? It's like, are you okay with letting go of being an expert?
And they're like, I'm not sure.
And what's interesting is particularly, not all, but particularly my driven, experienced professional women tend to really want to be that subject matter expert. And I would encourage everybody, not just women, it's not gender specific, but everybody to focus on the relationships. Now, what's very challenging for job seekers and people just focus on their career growth alike is we're in a very digital space.
Right.
So how do you do that? How do you understand how am I showing up around other people?
And it's hard to look at yourself, right? I mean, this is not a one and done, right? This is a process to go through and have that awareness and be able to find methods of feedback, which actually you have this book, which is fabulous, but then you have a companion that is coming out with your book that is going to help people make this the self-reflection adjustment.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. You know, what's interesting, Melanie, is before I wrote this book, one of the things I wanted to make sure, one of many things. One, I wanted to be very readable, consumable. What I like to say is snackable. You know, it's just easy to drink in and go, oh, yeah, this makes so much sense. So it's written in real language. I wrote the book, okay? Nobody else wrote this book. I did. So I wrote it. It's funny with some of my clients are like, I read the book and I heard you talking. Like when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, it's the biggest compliment, never writer. So, you know, I want it to be immediately applicable. Complexity doesn't work. It needs to be specific yet simple changes. After that bad performance review, by the way, I didn't just mope around forever. In fact, I made a few significant tweaks, started focusing on other people, and within 9 months, I was given an influential leadership position. I didn't reinvent myself. It wasn't necessary. Oftentimes, it's just bad habits that we don't even realize we have and need to stop doing, or just showing up, being a little bit more present. Or just maybe caring a little bit about other people, asking, you know, hey, how are you? Just simple things. You can be amazed at how much impact it has. But what this book does is it sheds some light on how to get some real data around that without making it complex and icky. And the companion guide, easy for me to say, the companion guide coming out is the Elevate Your Career Roadmap, because I want to take a step further. Yes, I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I want to make this super awesome to people, because when I read these self-help books, you leave with this feeling like, this is great information. Now what do I do? Right? So the companion guide, the roadmap, is the what do you do? That's right. To make it personal. I have a current state career assessment in there. I walk through every chapter, you know, walk it with you. I'm walking with you in the journey. I'm asking you questions, challenging you, giving you the opportunity to create this action for yourself, because I'm an action-oriented coach, you know. And I designed every page myself. I'm an artist, you know, the painting behind me over here. You can,
beautiful.
You know, I'm an artist, so, you know, I can't help it. I had to do it myself. And it's every page so far, I'm still working on it. It's available for pre-order now on my website. So you can find it there.
You know, and I think though, I love, because so many books come out and it's a one and done, right? And they're like, this is it, and we could fix everything for you and everything's going to be great. And it's not. For more in-depth change and more lasting change, you need more. So I love the idea that the workbook comes with it. And you even have more that's going to be coming out to give people a little bit of a very future teaser for you. You have Elevate Your Influence, which is even further down the road for you. Yeah. So I applaud you, Erin, for doing we're going to get you here, this step. We're going to help you actually make the changes. And then it's not just a one and done, especially for your career as opposed to your job search, right? I think the skills that you're giving are great to elevate your job search part, and then the career is a much longer, you know, runway. And having that longer is just, it's brilliant. So I appreciate the fact that you're doing the full scope of it.
Yeah, that's my style.
So remember, everyone, you can order her book on Amazon. You can go to her website. Before we go, though, Erin, give us one more tip that you really think would help, and especially for these job seekers, it's still really tough times for them. How can they, in the same way, elevate their job search by using those same, the methodology that you are prescribing?
Well, you're focusing on your presence, which the book really does focus how you show up right? One of the things is what's your story? What's your script? Is your middle or an articulated script supporting you or sabotaging you? Become aware about that, and understand what's the language that you're using. Is it helping you? Are you second guessing yourself? And being very finitely aware of that script that's defining your experience and how you show up in that space. And then, are you showing up passionately? Are you engaging? That's very important, particularly now in the digitally dependent workspace. We need to be able to show up much more powerfully. And I tell my clients and anybody who sits still long enough to listen that you have to emote, which is all the things I'm doing right now, smiling, engaging, body language. You have to emote 30% more than normal just to make the impression that you want in the virtual workspace. Now, for those of you who are reserved, you're like, that's not going to happen. You can use language to frame it. Be like, oh, I'm really excited to be here today. Even if you don't look is like bouncing off the walls, you don't have to, right? So think about that. What's the script? And how are you showing up?
All right, everyone. Feel free to check out Erin's information at the different places that we talked about. If you haven't followed her yet on LinkedIn, she's got her company page out there in her profile. Go out, follow her, connect with her. You'll get great tips on not only your job search, but on your career. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing that now. If you find this data helpful, give us that thumbs up in the end. Thank you so much, Erin, again. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to share this with us.
Been a pleasure, Melanie, always.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.